Take a slow, deliberate breath. Just pause for a second and acknowledge the invisible, incredibly heavy burden carried every single day. The endless list of responsibilities, the constant, exhausting vigilance, the deep-seated belief that if a task must be done right, it absolutely must be handled entirely alone. Every detail managed, every crisis averted. This explainer focuses entirely on that specific burden. It explores a relentless drive that looks exactly like strength on the outside, but feels incredibly heavy and isolating on the inside.
So, when was the last time someone else was actually allowed to carry the weight? Not just assigning a minor chore, but truly, completely releasing control. Releasing it without hovering, without correcting, and without bracing for inevitable failure. Extreme independence is frequently labeled and praised as a superpower. Well, it is time to disrupt that worldview completely. Because that extreme independence, it is not a superpower at all. It is a trauma response. It is a massive wall built carefully over years to avoid the pain of relying on people who let you down in the past.
Section 1. The Lone Wolf Illusion.
Society absolutely demands and highly rewards the lone wolf mentality. The applause is constant for handling every crisis alone and never once dropping the ball. The world loves this relentless self-reliance because, quite frankly, it is convenient for everyone else. It is easy to see why this behavior is so heavily incentivized. But right beneath that societal reward lies a harsh biological reality. Carrying the weight of an entire life without a support system leads directly to severe, isolating burnout. The human brain and body are simply not designed to process every threat, solve every problem, and manage every variable in total isolation. It is a biologically unsustainable weight that slowly but surely crushes the nervous system.
Think of hyperindependence as a dense neurological shield. It was built for a very logical, deeply self-protective reason, to prevent the disappointment, rejection, or betrayal experienced in the past. When unreliable people caused pain, the brain made a simple, protective calculation. It decided that absolute control is the only way to stay safe. So, the exhaustion felt every single day is completely valid. Holding up a psychological shield of this density takes a monumental, almost unfathomable amount of energy.
Section 2. Strategic Vulnerability.
Escaping this profound exhaustion requires a complete paradigm shift. Retraining the nervous system to understand that relying on others is no longer a life-threatening risk requires stepping out from behind that shield. Asking for help is not a weakness, it is a strategic necessity to preserve cognitive capacity. Protecting peace of mind requires systematically dismantling the hidden, deeply held belief of being the only competent person in the room. It means recognizing that accepting support is the ultimate strategy for long-term endurance and building unshakable emotional armor.
Section 3. Unmasking the defense mechanism. To actually dismantle the shield, it is essential to identify the true source of that relentless urge to do absolutely everything. Listen to that familiar internal voice echoing in the mind, the one that says, "It is faster to just do it all alone." It is vital to identify this phrase correctly. It is not a standard of excellence. It is a survival mantra. It is driven purely by anxiety and a desperate need to maintain order. When that thought arises, recognize it for exactly what it is. The nervous system is fighting a phantom threat, trying desperately to protect against potential failure.
This dynamic creates a silent, internal war. That sudden urge to snatch a task back because it is not being done perfectly, the paralyzing fear of imperfect execution, that is simply the nervous system fighting tooth and nail for absolute control. Acknowledging that it is entirely safe to let someone else do a task imperfectly is the crucial first step toward peace. The world will literally not end if a process is handled differently or if a project takes an extra 10 minutes.
Section 4. The Trust Microdose. Now, a full transition away from extreme self-reliance overnight is biologically impossible. The mind simply will not allow it. The nervous system requires undeniable proof of safety before it will ever lower the shield. This is achieved through what is called trust microdosing. First, hand off a tiny, low-stakes task where a subpar outcome will not ruin the day. Second, let the person execute it entirely their way. Step back completely. Third, simply survive the profound, itching discomfort of not controlling the process. The anxiety will spike. It will feel entirely unnatural. But when the task is finished and the sky has not fallen, the nervous system registers a successful, safe interaction. The neurological shield cracks, just a fraction of an inch.
Section 5. The energy cost calculation. It is time to address a deeply flawed metric used by hyper-independent individuals every single day to justify the burden. Consider the time cost. That pervasive belief that doing a task alone is better because explaining it will take longer.
Taking over might indeed save 5 minutes right now, but consider the energy cost. This time cost metric must be abandoned entirely to preserve sanity. The cumulative drain of absorbing every single 5-minute task eventually fries the nervous system completely. Carrying all those minor burdens destroys the capacity to endure.
Picture a finite mental battery. Mathematically and biologically, taking on every small task leaves that battery almost entirely depleted before the important work even begins. A massive 90% slice is drained by mundane chores and tiny corrections. That leaves only a microscopic sliver for deep work and actual peace. Delegation is never really about saving time. It is exclusively about preserving finite energy so that true peace of mind finally becomes possible.
You are strong enough to carry it all, but you do not have to. Let someone else take the weight.